In this video, we will see what is there in Sitecore architecture, what are the elements in the delivery environment, what are the elements in the authoring environment, what is Helix and Habitat, what is Sitecore MVC, Sitecore SXA, and Sitecore JSS, and how to select the best framework for the development. Welcome to my channel, my Sitecore Diaries. In this channel, we are going to discuss about Sitecore CMS, its fundamental concepts and the principles. If you have not watched my previous videos on the site introduction of the Sitecore, I will suggest you go back to those videos and then come back to this one. I will be providing link in the description for those videos. In this video, we are going to discuss about Sitecore architecture and its framework. Before moving, let me introduce myself, who I am. This is me. My name is Jitendra Ghanekar. I'm working as a Sitecore architect in one of the leading company in Mumbai. I'm a Sitecore certified developer. I'm here to learn and share my technical knowledge with you. Below is my Sitecore blog, and if you are already experienced person in Sitecore, then you can directly visit to this blog and you can do few blogs there. Please like, share, and comments on my video. Please subscribe to my channel. Click on the bell icon to get new updates and video notification. Let's see basic Sitecore architecture. Authoring. It is basically a service which helps to create and manage the published content. So in the authoring environment, these are the elements. Okay. Then we have a delivery environment, which is basically a live website which shows the visitor the live content, and it also executes the personalization tool. And these are the elements in the delivery environment. Then we have an identity server, and then we have the experience database. Experience database is basically collect and store the experience data, that is a visitor data, and these are the elements in the experience database. Now let's see individual elements. First is a content management. So it is basically a server where the internal client is hosted, the Sitecore client is hosted. So internal users create, manage, and preview the content on this server. Then we have a different databases. First is a master database. It stores the unpublished content, that is in progress data. Whatever in progress, that data is stored in the master, which is connected to the content management. Whereas the web database, it contains the live data, that is the published data, which is getting displayed to the user, and that is connected to the delivery management. And then we have a core database which is shared between the authoring and delivery, that is content management and content delivery. It stores the user interface, store the account and the configuration related to the Sitecore. Then we have a content delivery management. So this is the external server where the end website is hosted and the users are visiting to this this server. Okay, and it also executes the personalization tool. In generally in the normal production environment, we have a scaled environment or distributed environment where we generally have a multiple delivery servers, content delivery servers, which is managed by the load balancer. Then you see the searches. So searches also solar indexes. Basically it is across the authoring environment also, delivery environment also, and experience database also. So in the authoring you have a master index which is actually help to search within the Sitecore by the internal users, whereas on the web you have a web index which is used to search within the for the visitors, like customer can search on the website. For that we have a web index. And then you have a collection database. Okay, so XConnect is basically collecting the visitors data, that is interaction data. So whoever is a visitor, that analytics data is collected by the XConnect and it is stored in the collection database. So we have a collection database, we store the contact and interaction data. And then we have a processing server which actually processes the data which is collected in the collection database. It aggregates that data and it creates a form with the data in that format where you can generate a report, and that processed data is stored in the analytics database. So we have an analytics database where processed data is stored, so which is used to show these analytics report. And then we have an identity server which is used for the authentication. So all the users are authenticated via the identity server. So overall, this is a Sitecore experience platform architecture. This is a basic architecture which we generally have to understand the flow. We have seen basic Sitecore XP architecture. If you want to see a detailed architecture of the Sitecore XP, then you can visit to Sitecore documentation. This is the detailed Sitecore Express platform architecture. You have more roles here, more server roles here. Okay, I will be doing a separate video on this, but for now I'm just concentrating on basic architecture. If you want to check this, I'm providing the site code link in my description. You can go and read the detailed architecture of the site code expense platform. But for now, we will be skipping this. Let's see what are the developer frameworks provided by the Sitecore. There are three different frameworks which Sitecore provides. First is the MVC, Sitecore MVC. Then we have a Sitecore JSS, and then we have a Sitecore SXA. So what it is? If you see about MVC, this is a traditional site-code development framework which uses a ASP.NET and the site-code. So ASP.NET MVC is the basic which is used by the site-code MVC. Then Sitecore JSS, it is a headless framework, okay, and it uses a UI JavaScript UI framework. It allows you to work in the connected and disconnected mode. So it is a combination of a Sitecore and this JSS like Angular or React. Then you have a SXA. It is Sitecore Experience Accelerator. This is a framework which allows you to speed up your development by reusing the component layouts and the templates. You can have various sites created in the SXA. So what is the skill set required? As you know, in MVC, you will need a ASP.NET MVC. Along with that, you must be knowing SQL and the JavaScript. For the JSS, you will need a UI framework. So any language like React, Angular, or a Vue, it is required. Then you can also have a SQL and JavaScript knowledge also, and a ASP.NET knowledge. For SXA, you can use a MVC as well as a JSS. Mostly it is JSS which is preferred, and then you should know SQL and JavaScript. Okay. Then what are the ideal use cases which can be developed on this framework? Okay, so for a MVC framework, we have a complex and heavy business logic. So if your project has a complex and heavy business logic, then the Sitecore MVC is a preferred solution. There are many integration with a third party, then again the MVC is the preferred solution. Then you have a traditional responsive website, the digital only website, then it is a preferred one. What about JSS? It is if you have a minimum cross-browser experience and the rich and complex user interface. So your interface is a very rich, then I think you should think about the JSS. Progressive web application, JSS is the option. Native mobile app, JSS is the option. If you have an application which is built as a kiosk and which can be deployed on the desktop of a mobile or tablet as a kiosk, then you should go for the JSS. SXA, and also for a JSS, you have a single page application. And then for SXA, you have a content heavy website. So if your website has a lot of content, then you prefer to SXA. Okay, you have a multiple websites, okay, which having a same scaffolding and it has a static content, then you prefer SXA. Informative website, and there is no hardly any dynamic data, so basically it's a information which is given, it is a static website, then you prefer SXA. Okay, I have for this selection of a MVC JSS SXA, I have written a detailed blog in my details post in my blog. Okay, which not only tells you what are the parameters which you need to consider. Let's see this few parameters which we need to consider, like skills and capabilities. So what is the skill of your team and the capability of your team? That is very important while selecting the MVC JSS and SXA. What is the cost which is involved now? cost has it can be a different cost. Like if you want to onboard a resource, you have a cost. Okay, you have to train the resource, then it's a cost. You need to take a additional license for Sitecore JSS, that is involved the cost. So cost also very important. Speed to market, when you want to launch it, there might be some hard deadline, then you have to think about which technology you want to use. Then the complexity in that project, decoupling and a dependency of the site code. There might be a case where you do not have much experience in the site code, but you have a experience in the UI. Then you have to select the JSS. So that kind of dependency you have to see. You have, if your website has a lot of content, is it a content friendly website? Then you have to see whether you can use SXA, single page application or a mobile ready application. You have a dynamic logic or third party integration. All these you have to see. So let's walk through this my blog. I will just walk through it and to understand how you can select the MVC, JSS and SXA, what is the best framework for you. Okay, this is my blog and I have written this post, site for MVC versus JSS versus SXA. In this post, I have explained each parameters for which we should be considered for the comparative study between MVC, JSS and SXA, like skills and capabilities, cost, speed to market, complexity. Okay, all the parameters are explained here. The most important thing which I want to explain from this blog is this one, that is sample comparative study. So for every requirement, whatever you want to develop on the site for, and you want to choose the best better framework, then you can do this comparative study where you list down your all the parameters which is required for comparing between these three, and give the weightage to each parameter, and then rate the requirement or your organization depending on the whatever the position you are in for each framework. Like let's take an example like skill and capabilities. For this requirement, I was do not having any .NET resource. I was having the less capability in the UI React or Angular, so that's why I rate it as a 1. So if you see here weightage is 5, so it became the prorated as a 5. So basically weightage is how much importance it is for your organization. Like weightage, like speed to market, if it is very important to for your application, then it will goes high. If it is not that much important, then weightage will go low. Okay, so what I was saying is for the Sitecore JSS, I was not having any resources, so I rate it as a 1. Whereas MVC, we have a good Sitecore MVC team who knows everything, so I have rated it as a 5. Okay, similarly I have rated SXA as a 2. So at the end, for each parameter have rated that they have rated, and then we see here the overall number here. 352 is the Sitecore MVC, whereas 284 is a JSS and 292 are the SXA. So from this comparative study, I will choose a Sitecore MVC. So this is how you can also plan your requirement, which framework you want to choose. Let's see what is Helix and Habitat. Helix is basically a set of overall design principle and convention for the site code development. Basically, site code, it is a guideline for the site code development. And then what is a habitat? Habitat is a real site code project implementation, okay, using the Helix. And what are the principles which is used in the Helix? First is a high cohesion. Okay, what is a high cohesion? It is breaking down the code into the modules and the features. So you have a huge code, then break down those into the modules. You have a lot of features in your website, break down those into the features. That is a high cohesion. And then we have a low coupling. So what does it mean? Reducing the dependency among those models. So you have broken down your code into the models and feature. So in the low coupling, try to reduce the dependency among those. Then you have a stable dependency principle. What does it say? A package should only depend upon the package that are more stable than it is. So you are referring, so you have a project A and project B, and you are referring project A to the project B. Then A should be more stable than the B. That is called stable dependency principle. So depending on this principle, what does Helix does? It divides your code into the 3 folder, your project into the 3 folder. One is a project folder, another is a feature folder, and the third one is the foundation project folder. Now what is project? it is basically a layer, or it is a project where you stitch down all your features, or it is a project where you assemble your website. Okay, so that is called a project. Then you have features. The feature is basically has a concrete features, like you have a news, you have a hero banner, so all those are the features. Project is included into the feature project. And it does also follow the common closure principle. What is mean is that it packages the classes which is changing together, so those are packaged into the one project only. Then the foundation is a basically your a frame your solutions framework. So it is a framework which holds your these like extension classes or shared logic. So those are the foundation, which is a framework which is created for your solution. Okay, so as per the design principles, the high cohesion energy had is broken down the solution into these three folder, whereas low coupling means you have to reduce the dependencies. So you should not have the references of feature in one feature into the another feature. Okay, one project into the another project, from one project into the another project. So you should not have those dependency or those references. Now how does stable dependency principle work? So what is the stability is how much your code is getting changed. So in that case, the project is most unstable layer, because it can change anything, like your content editor can change the hero banner to the carousel one. Okay, so that can be changed, so it is frequently changed, whereas the feature has hardly changes, is occasionally changes, like there is some feature, some functionality change, then it will change the code. Okay, then you have a foundation which is more stable. Generally when you create a framework, it doesn't change it, you always follow whenever you do the development, you always follow that framework. Okay, so it hardly changes. Okay, so as per your stable dependency principle, the foundation can be referred in any of this project or a feature, and feature can be referred into the project. Okay, so that is how it should work. Now what kind of a sample project which can be done here? When we talk about the project, it is your Visual Studio project. Okay, so what kind of project goes into the project folder? Specific website folder. So if you have a multiple brand, like you have a brands like PNG, where you have a multiple brand, the washing powders which are belongs to the PNG only, so then those brand website can be can be in the project layer. Okay, then you have a feature, news article, blogs, hero banners, those are the features. So it will have every news will have its own project, and that will come into the feature. Blog will have its own project, it will come into the feature. And then foundation, like it is a common, so theming or indexing, that kind of a coding will come into the foundation. That is basically a Helix and Habitat. Any question, you can email me on my email address. This is my LinkedIn ID. You can contact to me at my LinkedIn. If you like my video, then please click on like button. Please share it with your friends. If you have any feedback, please comment on it. Please subscribe to my channel. Click on the bell icon to get the latest update or latest videos. Thank you. Thanks for watching my video.